Well, I always was interested in art. When I was a young lad, I used to go to galleries. And people used to... Everyone thought I was gay in East Wall, because I went to galleries. They all thought that. Matter of fact, I was told that some time ago. I always thought you were gay. And my wife met a girl out of the ballerina, and she said, "Do you marry Dan?" She said, "Yeah, I married Joe Moran." I said, "We thought he was gay." She said, "He's very gay, 6 children." So that was the way it was. I was not under pressure, because I never bothered with it. I never mind what people say to me. I always liked art, because I thought it was something different. I thought it was something to get into. I thought you were creating something. When you sit down and get picked, and you... I'm not saying, but you're like God, you produce something new. That's what art is about. Not alone that, you lose yourself, you lose completely where you are, you go somewhere else, in your mind and everything else. And that's why they say to people, when they tell me, particularly I had some dealings with drug people, and I said to them, just put something on paper, just do marks, and you'll find yourself going into that, and you forget about this, forget about your troubles. Because that's what art is about. Art is about when you look at something, when that couple of seconds you're forgetting about everything else. If it's not like that, it's not art. You have to forget about what the... Artists create something that's not there. So that's what I used to do. I was creating something that wasn't there, I taught myself. And it came to fruition that people liked it. That's how I got into art. I was different. I was queer. I used to say, "Who's a queer fella?"
And your Turlock Hill sculpture, that was the first time that I've come across you being profiled in a newspaper where you made crucifixes during your time at Turlock Hill.
I am a religious person. I'm not a religious person. I am religious, as you may say. I go to church and that. And we were in these rooms on our own, and I decided to make a cross out of washers. And we had no church there, and the priest came, and we built a church for the priest, right? And he had no crucifix. And he said to me, I said, "No, you can't have that. You can't put that on the altar. It's only made out of washers and bits of things, you know." And he said, "I won't just want it for my own place." He said, "I don't want to put it on the altar." So the first mass we went to, here it's up on the altar. So when we came out, the fella said to me, "In the name of Jesus," he said, "you know what?" He said, "We're playing the washers now and bits of nails and everything." And I said, "Well, that's it." And later on, the fellas began to admire it because of what they were working with. It was simple. It wasn't gold. It wasn't anything. It was what they were working at. Washers. That's where I came into Turlock Hill. That's what I done in Turlock Hill. And then I used to make crucifix for them to put in their rooms out of different things. Fellas say, "Oh, that's a nice one. You can have it. Well, that's a nice one, you can have it." I kept giving them away all the time. I made a lot of horse nails. Horse nails are nice to make crucifix out of. We might have one at home. James would have it on his computer there. That's what I done in Turlock Hill. Right?
And during this time, you did a lot of religious sculptures, a lot of crucifixes made from different items. For example, you were on RTE in a television documentary making a crucifix out of a bicycle.
That was a good one.
In Temple Bar.
That was a thing called... Pat Kenny was on it. Can't think of the moment. It was a rock thing. And they got me in to make a crucifix. I had the crucifix here in an exhibition way back when we used to have our exhibitions here. And Pat Kenny came and said, "Could you make that on..." He was only young for then. "Could you make that on television?" I said, "Yeah, it wouldn't take long." So I invited, and there's a fella called Dooley. He gave me a bike to fix, and I was asked to go to and I said, "That's the ideal bike." So he's looking at it. I started doing it in the television, and he says, "That's my bike." He said to me, "Well, that's my bike." He said, "Taking my bike." It was ideal. Not all bikes are good for crucifix. Not all good for design. It took me years to get the simpleness of it. Years. It may say, "Oh, yeah, you could do that." It took me years to get the simpleness of it. And incidentally, I done one when we were putting the central heating into the house. The plumber used to leave pipes and all like that. And so I was out in the workshop and I started to put one together with Anthony and John, my sons. And I needed the crown of thorns for it. So Anthony said, "I'll get you a crown of thorns." They got me a bicycle wheel, the chain wheel, to go around. It looked beautiful. So some Canadians came to have an international exhibition in Canada. And they said to me, would you contribute something? I said, so they came into, I was the only sculptor, they came into the studio and said, oh, we like that. But I said, all right, if you want it. So they took it to Canada. And this is very interesting. When I went to the exhibition, the night of the exhibition, one of the fellas came to me and said, I didn't want to put that up. And I said, why? He said, they thought it was an insult to religion being made out of scrap metal. And I said, how is it? And they said, we said this exhibition is not open unless that's up. So right. They said, you take, if anything happens, use a blame. I was explaining to a girl, another artist there, and she said, I've got one better than that, she said for you. And she gave me a book. If anyone ever wants to read it, it's in French and in English. She painted an angel that was pregnant with wings. And they took her, went in and took her out and brought her to court over doing it. So that's how they look at art over there. They look at religious things. I showed this book to anybody who wants to look at it. You won't believe what's in it. Just because of that. Because of that, the angel thing. So that's what the crucifix, that's how I started making crucifix. I started making crucifix because it's fascinated me. It fascinated me, the shapes and things and all that type of thing. And I actually made one on the street in Temple Bar. For something was going on, they asked me to go. I went out in the street and made it. And in the video, in the tape, I have a tape, they asked this Muslim young fella, a woman, girl, when Muslims were coming by, and they said, who is that? And she said, that's Christ. So she even knew, the Muslim woman knew what I was doing with the thing. That was a thing called Would You Believe? A program, Would You Believe? I was on that with other famous artists, I suppose I could call them.
Canadian exhibition that Joe was talking about, I think that was 1992 in Montreal.
Yes, Montreal.
And I remember you telling me that there was a woman on the opening night where her husband, and she wasn't impressed at seeing this representation of Christ. She stood beside me. She said out loud, that's disgraceful. That's terrible. And I was standing beside her, and I said, why? The husband looked. I said, why is this terrible? That's religious made out of scrap metal. You couldn't have that. I said, why could you not have that? Said, oh, I wouldn't have that. That's disgraceful. And that's probably what the other things happened to. That's disgraceful. I said, I done that. Oh, did you? She said, it's still disgraceful. Well, I said, if it was gold and silver, would it be any different? And the husband just walked away as much as saying, and that's the difference. These are the type of things that people should be shown, and we're not going to go into religion. Should be seeing these things, ordinary people, ordinary objects. Just when you came back from Canada, this was around the time that you had your sculpture, your permanent sculpture in Fairview Park installed. Because Joe has 3 permanent pieces of sculpture in Dublin, one in Ringsend, one at Dublin Airport, and one very close to here, Fairview Park. And that's family unit. Well, I'm sure some of you are familiar with that sculpture. It's over beside the children's playground opposite Joey's school where I went as a kid. And that was unveiled by Gay Mitchell, was the Lord Mayor at the time. And in Joe's front garden here in East Wall, he has the original model of that family unit sculpture in his front garden. Now it's chained to a pole, just in case anybody wants to try and rob this sculpture. But perhaps you can explain what the family unit sculpture is, and how it ended up in Fairview Park.
My wife, Anne and I were down Christmas Eve, down getting cakes for the toys for the kids and all. And I noticed also gaiety of the men and women and the children and how the unit comes together, the family unit comes together. So I went home immediately, went out to the workshop and started welding. So she used to give out. So I started, and I made the maquette. It's that size. You've seen the maquette, right? And the family unit, if you look at it, is 3 people. There's a father, a mother, and a child in the middle. And I remember Anne-Marie saying to me, Dad, there's 3 people and there's only 4 legs. Well, that's a family. The father and mother keeps the family together. They keep them together. They're the complete support for them. And that's what it's about. The family unit. They hold up the family. The father and mother holds up the family. And that's what that piece is about. And that's where I got that idea from. And it's made out of scrap metal, of course, again, but that was to make it abstract, to make it look like a Celt and one thing or other. But that's why there's only 4 legs of the 3 people. And when I do something, I try to... I don't make to make. I make to please myself. Because when I'm doing that, that's my life. That's my time. That's all the time I can't get that time back. I can't. If I sell that, I still don't get time back. That's my time. So I only make for me, and I only paint for myself. I paint for nobody. I do nothing for anybody except when I got commissions, and I don't like commissions.
You mentioned there that you don't normally like commissions. But there is a commission that you got over in Ringsend.
That was the door.
That you did enjoy. And I remember during your speech, this was 2008, Joe has a permanent sculpture beside Ringsend Library. And you mentioned during your speech on the day that normally you don't like committees being involved because committees will design a camel rather than a horse.
That's right, yeah.
But this time around, you designed a sculpture which deals with raising awareness of domestic abuse towards women. So it's a very sombre subject, but that sculpture has been in Ringsend now 14 years, and probably unlike every other permanent piece of sculpture in Dublin City, it has never been vandalised. Nobody has ever put any paint on it or done any graffiti on it. So perhaps you could just tell us about the door in Ringsend. First of all, can you describe it for anybody who...
Well, I'll tell you how it came about. That's about the best way of doing it. The jeweller's wife was involved with the domestic violence people, right? And I was in the jewellery one day with him. He's a polisher or whatever, that type of stuff, fixes the jewellery. I said, Joe, what? Will you do a piece of sculpture for us? I said, I will. What do you want done? She said, I belong to the abused women. She said, will you make a door for us? I said, Jesus, I always wanted to do that about women's abuse because women walk into doors. Women walk into... When someone says I walked into a door, he's giving her a clatter. No time for it. Anyhow, I said, I will. Well, what do you want? She said, I want a 3-foot plinth and a little door on top of it. I said, you must be joking. She said, no. I said, we're going to put it in full door. Go way off out of that. Where do we get the money from? We get the money off the dock lad. They're building these places. We're entitled to get money off them. So anyhow, I got down and I done it. And Leo Higgins, the lad that died recently, ran the foundry. Perth's a friend of mine since the 60s. Under the foundry. I said, Leo, first of all, so we got this, we get the. We want it in 6 weeks. 6 weeks? Can't get that in 6 weeks. Well, we need it in 6 weeks. It was for Abuse Day for United Nations. That's what it was for. So I went to Leo, and Leo said, right. And he got 2 of his men and said, this is what you have to do. You have to do nothing else but this door. It has to be ready. So then I started to work on the door, get the model made and all like that. And what I done was, as I say, women walk into the door with their head. So I decided to put my wife's aunt's head in it. The portrait of her had 6 heads in it. About 6 heads in it. She would have loved that. She would have said, she would have said, so you think I walk into bloody doors with my head? Oh, well, she would have loved that. I got 6 of her heads in it. And each panel has negative inside. Who do you think you are? What do you know, that? And outside has hope, positive, in 2 languages, Irish and English on it, right? But I had a whole load of trouble with, first of all, the architect. I had to get an architect. That costs money. So I said, this fella, you have an architect doing the buildings for you, doing building houses. Get him to do it for me. Gave him a drawing. He scaled it up and all that paraphernalia. So it was to go. It was to be opened on a Saturday. Now we got permission off the library board. We got permission off the roads commission, whatever you call it. We got permission off the artist people. They've seen it. Let's go up. That'll go up. So when the time came to put it up, I said, we're putting this up on Wednesday. We're putting it up on Wednesday because it has to be ready by Saturday. I don't take chances. Like, I make sure everything is ready on time. So Catherine came to me, one of the girls came and said, I'm not ringing up the corporation. So we're putting that thing up on Wednesday. It has to be opened on Saturday. And the fellow turned around and said, did you get permission off the Parks Commission? The Parks Authority, you know. She said, what? I said, what did you say to him? She said, that's effing well going up on Saturday. So, you had to get something out of the Parks Commission that was going on the road. So we put it up, John Gormley came and put it up. And when it was being put up, when it was being put up, Anne-Marie said to me, you know, them two women said to me, she said, one said to the other, he must have bet his wife he's putting this up to her. She said, my father never bet me one up. You're joking. And that's, I have the small door at home. If anybody ever like to see it, it's all the heads are in it, a sense. And I designed for the 6 women, I gave them chains with the silver things on the thing. I designed that too for them. Okay. The door is always open. There's no knocker on the door. You don't have to knock to come. There's no letterbox. You don't have to post us a letter. There's no keyhole. You don't need a key. The door is open for you to come in. Any woman that's been abused. That's what that means. Again, I put symbols in, as I say. And they ask me, why is there no thing? I say, you don't need them. You don't need these symbols. Just walk in. The door is open for you. And that's what's it. It's written on the side. The door is always open. You know. So I do these things, put these little symbols into work I do to make it satisfy myself.
Well, maybe what we could do is we could talk about your other permanent sculpture in Dublin, at Dublin Airport, learning to fly.
Icarus.
Icarus, learning to fly.
That was Icarus. I was asked to cut a tank up, and so happened then there was a competition coming on for Dublin Airport. So I put it all together. I made the Icarus learning to fly, and it was there for years, going around. I used to be jotted in different places, and a fella came to me, taximan said to me, Jesus, Joe, that thing is gone. What? That dump of stuff you had out there is gone. I said, is it? Well, it shouldn't be gone because they never bought it off me. That's only on loan to them. So when I went out and seen it, and it was in a heap, someone ran over with a car or a truck or something. So when I got in touch with them. That was good. I could meet a fella called Hepburn, Mr. Hepburn. So I went up to this, I went to the airport and I said to this guy, I'm looking for Mr. Hepburn. Mr. Hepburn. I look for David Hepburn. Where does he work? I said, I don't know. You sure? No, there's no David Hepburn here. I said, is there not? No. Look again. She looked again. No, there's no David Hepburn here. So we said, but my secretary phoned him. You mean Mr. Hepburn? the head fella. Mr. Hepburn, yeah. So he comes down with this fella, and I said to him, he said, yeah, this, Joe, yeah. He said, that piece of work, he said, we own that. I said, just don't own it. I said, oh, do we not? No, I said, you don't own it, he said, well, can we come to an agreement? Of course we can come to an agreement. I said, I'll fix it, and he was paying me to fix it. So he done that. I got paid off. But because you're not dressed, they think that you shouldn't be meeting these people. That's why the thing. And of course, I don't dress like an artist. I don't have the hat. I don't have the swagger.